Hey, what's going on, guys? Dom here, and I'm feeling under the weather, but that doesn't matter. We got to talk about this because we have a problem about it's Pokemon, obviously, but these models are exactly the same. They've been feigning this. We took the Pokemon out because we need we're doing quality models, animations, or whatever the case may be. And if you don't believe me, there's a guy who's a lot smarter than I am when it comes to 3D modeling, etc. Named DJ Thed on Twitter, who actually did a video, and this is it right here.
Okay, here's a Vaporeon model. This one on the right is from the 3DS games. The one on the left is from the Switch. The obvious difference here is the textures. They clearly look different, but if I just grab the model itself. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make both the models take up the same space, like they're taking up the same exact space. Turn on wireframe mode. So these two models are taking up the same exact space. If I were to move this model slightly, you'll see that all the details start to merge away from the old model. What I have selected? I have the Switch model selected right now. That's the one in orange. Let's reset the location. I still have it selected. But you can't really see any lines other than a few polygons that have flipped because of how Blender imports models. But if I just move it slightly, things start to unmerge real quickly because it's the same exact model. I'll prove it again by taking these apart again. Let's go into edit mode. Edit mode, this is the Switch model. Let's count the polygons. So we are at 5,540 tries. That's the try count for the Switch model. The 3DS model, select all, 5,540 tries. Okay, now how about this? Let's swap textures. This is the 3DS model with the Switch textures applied, except for the eyes and mouth. When I swapped the Switch textures onto the 3DS model, they map perfectly because the UV maps are the same. They are the same. Let's find the UV map here. So here's the body UVs for the body. The eyes and mouth are on their own different thing. Now for the Switch UVs, same thing. Let's select them both. If I select everything, they take up the same exact space. There are two overlapping sets of UVs here, mapped to the same exact texture. Or it would be this one. Here we go, that's the Switch texture. You don't just remake a model and get the same exact result. This is a conversion, not a remake. Not a remake. They didn't remake the model, they converted it.
As you can see, those models are exactly the same. Those Vaporeon models are literally exactly the same. You guys should definitely follow DJ Thed on Twitter, and then that video actually I clipped it from a guy named Distant Kingdom, so definitely check him out on YouTube as well. But what I'm going to say about that whole thing is with Vaporeon, it's like, for example, you can't, well, first off, you can't even try to tell me those aren't the same models after what he just posted. It's if you're of legal age to drink and your frontal lobe is completely developed, so it means you're at least 21, 22, whatever, you should understand exactly what it is. If you're going to try to explain to me and say that that's not true, something's definitely wrong with you. Because this looks like if you bought two of the exact same coloring book, ripped out a page of it, and told two separate kids to color it, and then you ask someone if these are two separate coloring books from two separate coloring books. No, they're the exact same pages. They're just colored differently. One Vaporeon's like a little bit like a lighter blue or something like turquoise teal, whatever you want to say, but they're definitely from the same game. They're the Let's Go Pikachu Eevee models. So it's crazy to think that the one thing they were saying that they were going to work on were the quality animations. They're the exact same animations. You just change it a little bit slightly. I mean, there's also been a lot going on with this whole the translations for a Famitsu article where they were saying the models were like reused or they were being made from scratch. Excuse me. But this is clearly just a conversion from what he said. This is like they just took it and copy and pasted it right into, like, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely not okay. Now, Pokemon itself, just the Pokemon is that's a $1 billion franchise. Game Freak isn't necessarily a $1 billion franchise. Highest grossing media franchise of all time, Pokemon is. Not Game Freak, but that's not an excuse here. That you're taking out Pokemon, you're taking out Pokemon for quality animation, but the animations are exactly the same. We have to hold them to a higher standard. There's no way we can let this fly. If we want better Pokemon games in the future, we can't accept this, really. And the sad thing is that it doesn't really matter what we do, it's gonna sell. That's like the sad reality of it. It's crazy to think about. Definitely hold them to a higher standard, because if we don't, this is gonna keep happening on the next game. Pokemon Nunchuck is gonna be the exact same thing. Just, oh man, it's terrible. I'm definitely excuse me. I've always been on the side of wanting all the Pokemon. That whole hashtag National Dex thing is stupid, because it's the National Dex is just a thing in the game that lets you look at Pokemon cries and how tall they are and their habitats, and I really don't care about that stuff. I want all the Pokemon. I want all 108 plus the ones coming from 109. I'm getting the number wrong. Coming from the ones coming from Sword and Shield. I want all those too, all in one game. But you're reusing Let's Go models. So there's they also can't even like delay the games to make it better, to fix this problem. Reason being is that the mainline games drives the entire Pokemon franchise. So I guess to better elaborate on that is the Pokemon TCG, which is like the second best-selling card game of all time behind Yu-Gi-Oh, relies on this. The mechanics in the game, like Z crystals are now being, I believe they're being brought into the game just as recently, or they're coming up soon. Excuse me. So delaying the games would delay the TCG, it would delay the anime, it would delay a lot of things, spin-off games, you name it. So this just, you can't even delay it. So the date's set, it's not gonna happen. Oh man, the whole thing is really a disaster. Now, to call Game Freak incompetent, completely, keyword, may not be it may not be fair. I'll give you an example. So let's just say my dad's been taking care of me my entire life, right? He's been there the entire time. And okay, let's say he fumbled something at when I was like 17, 18 years old, and I didn't like it. I can't completely call my dad like a completely terrible father, like an incompetent person. Up to starting from Pokemon Red, because I played the first games when I was like 4 years old, up to now I played all their games, all their mainline games. So I can't just go, okay, they're absolutely terrible after this one mess up. They still have time to fix it. There's still time before the games come out in November. But they are incompetent to a degree. 100% incompetent. That sounds weird. They're 100% incompetent to a degree. I think that handhelds are a crutch for Game Freak. They've gotten so comfortable with that, and it's not really their fault to some degree, because the spin-off titles on consoles have all been handled by different studios. There's been HAL Laboratories, Creatures Inc., etc., doing all that stuff for them. So we can blame them to some degree, but they stayed away from the console stuff. That much is obvious, and the Nintendo Switch is going to be a crutch for them as well. So you're probably wondering, what am I talking about? The Nintendo Switch is a console and a handheld. And if you don't think that's enough, the Nintendo Switch Lite is strictly a handheld. Handhelds are a crutch for Game Freak. That much seems apparent. They're so comfortable on it that going into the console era is it's a struggle for them, clearly. I don't want to, this is my opinion, but they may actually be making Pokemon Sword and Shield with the Nintendo Switch Lite in mind. That may be what they're going for the whole handheld experience and not the console experience. It's definitely a crutch. They feel more comfortable on it, so they'll keep going back to it. I mean, it's That's incompetence to a degree. That you've been handling this very large franchise, and I understand the number of people they have on staff is whatever number it is, but they also have interns and stuff that they don't really count and put out in I guess whatever reports. They do ask for help every once in a while, for what I understand. But to be incompetent to this degree, after Nintendo puts out the Switch, I'm not sure how long the games have been in development, which is also something to talk about here. I had no idea what that is, but they're definitely incompetent to some degree and I think it's the console. They're so afraid of it, they don't know how it's gonna work. It's like, come on. Actually, I really don't even know what to say after that, because it's like, this franchise has been around for such a long time, and you knew eventually you were gonna have to head to the console. And now the big thing with the models is like the big draw, these quality animations, and that whole Chinese thing is going around, but I'm not even gonna talk about that. But come on, you gotta do better. You gotta hold them accountable for this. Excuse me. And I'm not saying to go on Masuda's Twitter and like spam him with all this stuff. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying to definitely hold them accountable. It has to be some peaceful protest in some way. Spamming him on like wedding stuff is not on the way to do it. But definitely gotta let him know this is not cool. Because this is terrible. This is like we're watching a brand new IP come up and they're doing terrible. Another thing regarding the E3 stuff, normally when you're showcasing a game, people have like this normal like thing where they say that the companies put out the best looking version of the game, like the awesome cinematic, when it comes to E3 to sell the game, which is like a big thing for Call of Duty. It's like excuse me, the games don't look nice compared to the cinematic. Game Freak, I think, did the exact opposite. I don't want to call that tree into like bring it up here and make it a big thing, but it's definitely a factor in this. Normally you would put your best foot forward when you're trying to sell your game. You wouldn't put something that's like mediocre out, and that's kind of what they did. And now it's showing up. It's showing a lot more in these models and textures, in these animations they say that we're sacrificing Pokemon for. Have all the man, just put all the Pokemon in the game, please. Well, that's just me looking at it from a consumer standpoint. We want all the Pokemon. I want all the Pokemon. I don't even care if the Pokemon stand still completely. I don't care about a high quality. I just want them all in. Well, I don't want them standing still, but I think you get what you're saying. I don't want to make this drag on too long. It's been a little while. I think that'll do it for this video, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. I'm not a fan of this at all. So, Dom out.